I did import some of your examples, Rebecca, which was great. So let me just show everyone. So Rebecca's, what she wants to do is fine tune her final composite. So it's a really good, you're like super close is what I always say. And I'm just gonna give some pointers that I would address and be able to possibly fix. I'm going to show you the tools to be able to help you. So number one, do remember that you have a lot more room up here. Now, I notice that you probably like the contrast of the food behind here. So you could build more of this up here. You know, just all you have to do is make the leaves be a layer and bring it up. And you actually have, you know, the ability that you could bring up even the windows if you want. So you do have more room up here. Or you could just crop it down a little bit so that it's not so much space up here. Only because it is, you know, you want to balance between the distance between here and there. So that's one thing. And let me just zoom out. It's always good to be zooming out a little bit further, like that. So what I wanted to help Rebecca with is on here, I think you probably understand it from my reply, Rebecca, that I would put a gradient in here. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And then the other thing is your flag color, as I pulled, is really this color green. So that's why the eyedropper is really good to take. So the eyedropper will pick this up, and when you double click it, there is that hexadecimal number. And because this is a poster, you have more of the colors of green. And even on here, you know, if the real deal is not optimum, you can still get a little bit brighter with your color green, like this, as you can see. So that's why these two colors exist in Photoshop. So you can make a comparison. Am I getting lighter or am I getting darker? So again, the color from the eyedropper, picking off of just, you know, a screenshot, literally. I'm going to close this up. And so I would have this here. And as you notice, if I come out of it, it gives you the Photoshop drop right away. So I toggled web off. And so if I click this, it gives me that. If I pick this, it's white. And here is the green. And if I wanted to go brighter for the print, because remember when you print, sometimes print goes darker and sometimes print goes lighter. So that's why you always want to be sure whenever you do a print job, I can't emphasize this enough, you get a sample of it. Now, printers always charge you more, but don't worry about it. Your client is going to pay for it. And if they don't pay for it, then you tell them I can't guarantee anything. So you want them to pay for it. And what that does is if the printer will print a sample, mail it, snail mail it to you, you look at it and you go, yes, this is what I want, or no. And then they are, by contract, they have to print exactly what the example looks like. So I had a bad experience with that when I first did a print job via online, and it was not good. And I never, from that day forward, ever did another way, you know, without that sample. So what you see on the screen is very different than what you print. Now the web and video is pretty close to what people are going to see. So that's why I always like the web environment. So anyways, I would definitely use the eyedropper on that. And then on here, just to show you this. Now again, I did a place embedded. So I'm going to show you how to be able to utilize that. I'm just going to use the quick mask, because quick mask is one way where I can really get something quick to show you. So I'm just going to do this. You know, it's not going to be perfect, but I'm going to help Rebecca to know how to get those marching ants, how to get that gradient within her screen. And again, small here and that's good. So then I turn that off. And then, of course, I want to do a reverse under select. And now I have my marching ants just for Italy. So I always want to save that so I can go back to it quickly and not have to rebuild it. And so now I have that. I'm going to make a layer on top of it so that we can see how to use the gradient. So the first thing I want to do is I need to get to the gradient tool, which is under the, usually with the paint bucket, and right up here. And I can choose my colors as such on here. So I'll choose a red as that. And oh, I think it begins with green, but that's okay. We'll start with that. So I can see I can move this over. I can move this back, double click this. And I want to get the green. And I can do that hexadecimal. So you see, I am going to save this. I'm going to go back because I didn't get the hexadecimal. So I'll turn that on. I can get rid of the marching ants because I have it saved. I'm going to come back with that eyedropper because it's something that I forgot. Pick it up. There it is. I can pick that up with a C right down here and come back to my layer. Turn my marching ants on because I saved it. And this is why, you know, we want to have that on there. And so now I'm back to my gradient. And so now I've got the red, but I need to get the opacity to be 100. Now, if you just throw it away, it'll leave it there. So you want to come up here to change that to 100. So now that's bright red, but that's actually on the end. And now I have green here. Double click that. Now that picks up. Now I can paste that. Now I have that green in there, but my opacity is 0. Bring that back. Whoops. Thank goodness it saved it. There's your new for saving it. Now I need the white, because white is in the middle. And that's what I change it right to that. So I want to keep this 100. Don't need that, so you can mouse down to delete it. Now that's the gradient, right? That gives you that full range. If you wanted it to be, let's see here, is this going to give me a, yeah. I just want to let you know, because you don't see this, I just made a duplication of that white color by pushing the key on my keyboard with Alt, A-L-T. So A-L-T or Command on a Mac always gives you a duplication. So, so now I have that, and you see I can bring that up to here. If I do this, Alt, I could bring my green up here. Let go of my colors there. Let me just throw this one away, bring this over, and I could bring this really close to this, and that would give me the line. So you have to have the two of them together to get that line. But I think with your situation, Rebecca, I would just let it be a nice gradient. And so you can bring this up if you want more green to be here. And let me get this up there. And then on here, that's a location. Yeah, this is letting me move. You see how it's changing it. Let me just do 0 on here on the 5. So I want to bring this up. That's 100. That should be 100. But see, I don't have green down here. So I need to bring the green like that to make that be 100. So now you see I have more green. I'm bringing more green up. And I can do the same thing with the red. Alt key, bring it over. So now I have more red. And if I wanted more white, I would have to do the same thing with the white, like so. So now I have it, and that's what I meant. So now I can do new, and that will save it within this document. I'm not sure if it saves it in all of your gradients. It may. This is a little bit of a new interface now. They've given you lots of gradients to start with. But this is, I've customized that. So I'm going to say OK. And now I'm loaded up with the gradient. So at this point, what I can do is I can now stretch this across. And that's what we're talking about. And so what I would do, you've got some nice graphics going on in here. I would keep the gray so that when you do the gradient, let me zoom out. When you do the gradient, you can bring in those shadows. You can either make the shadows yourself, like with the embed and embellish as such. Let me get my gradient tool. You can also go like this, but you see, you want to get it right within. And again, you can do the opposite on here, but I think this, you would need to probably make the circle if you wanted to do it vertically. And I'm trying to just get it so that it's horizontal. There we go. So you see, I couldn't get it what I wanted, and I had to play with these. So that's where you kind of need to get a little bit if you want to go that way or the other way from here to there. So if I had that, let's just say on here, now I did it really sloppily because you can see that in actuality, what you could do on this one, let me get rid of, you see how there's a little bit of a mark here. Let me get rid of that. So I'm going to rasterize it. Now I can edit it. And I could get in here and actually just pick up these colors and then keep the gray on there. Or I could use the embedded here, layer style, beveled edge. And you see now it's going to kind of create a little bit of what you have, soften. I don't want soften. And let's do normal. And what I'm trying to do is to find that hard edge, chisel hard. That's chisel hard, chisel soft. So somehow there's some kind of, let's do chisel hard. So you see, you can change that and you can soften that. I don't know why this sort of gradient is probably from the gradient. So what you would do is you would, let me put that back on there again. The other thing is, don't forget you have your inner glow and outer glow. So let's do some embossing to see what we can get to be better. And let's get this to be chisel hard, pillow, outer bevel, inner bevel. So the inner bevel depth, as you can see, now we're getting rid of it. And then we can get this to be smaller on that. But say the art director wants exactly what is here. So the way to do that, what I would do is I would just I would get these colors to be gray, even in the, like a green gray, or with whatever the gradient that you have as a transparency. Because what you're trying to do is get this chisel design here that's happening. So let's just take this, for instance. You can probably, a couple of things to do is you could, let's go back to this and let's get the marching ants to be back on. load that selection, load Italy. Okay, so now you see, but those marching ants are for the whole letter. So I would probably take something like my polygonal one, like this, and get that. Or if you wanted to go faster, you could try your select tool. So let's try that magic wand tool. So the magic wand tool is going to grab, there's a tolerance of 1. And so right now, you see it's only grabbing 1. So I'm going to go up to 10. But I would make it very contrasty first, because you want to get the difference to happen here. So you see, I'm going to bring this up. And you see, now I can see it a lot better, right? Just on this one I'm looking at, not the other ones. You can change it, obviously, for the other ones. So then I would probably duplicate this, because each letter is different. This one's pretty easy. And so this one, I'll go back now and bring back that contrast, under adjust, under the levels. And sometimes you can move the gray, and then the gray helps. And what I want to do is I want to get that contrast there. That is nice on there. I need the gray though. And again, just go back if it's not working and take it so that you can see it. Sometimes that's where people like painting with that quick mask, as I did there. That's a little better. And that's a little tighter. Because what I'm trying to do is get this in here. So that's where the graphic design, but you know, that almost looks like if you use this for all the letters, and so you would get the marching ants on each letter. So for instance, if I just grab this right now, bring this up to 32, which is the generic, you see I'm right in there right now. And so I could use that for my marching ants to do the stroke, and then you have the letters all together. So I could actually do a shift key and get all of these like this. And then I have that for my marching ants to then apply the gradient tool as such with this. And again, always make another layer. You don't want to put it on the composite. And then you see now I have it within. And it's a lot cleaner. And there you can sort of work with the inner glow or the outer glow or the stroke or the beveled situation. And so sometimes what you can do is the bevel is acting weird because of the gradient. So knowing that, what I would do is I would just fill it with gray. So I would take the gradient out and use the fill. Well, I want to get it, yeah, just use the bucket. Use a bucket, so I'll use gray here, or dark gray, whatever it may be. And I got to go back to here to do this. See, the marching ants is saying you've got to be on a layer. And so then I'm just going to fill like that. So now I can use that as a way to now see what will my, I should have used not a dark gray. I can now see what my beveled edge is going to look like when I apply it to this layer. Layer style, emboss. And something's really a little strange here. It probably could be the screen, opacity, and the shadow. Let's do normal. And the chisel hard, chisel soft. And let's bring down, there's soften, and there is size. So not, sometimes the outer bevel, there's your drop shadow. Sometimes a drop shadow is often one of my favorites that I go to. Push that like that. So you see, you can almost get that happening right there for you, depending on the distance. And you can also do, let's see if the inner glow will work for us. inner shadow. There you go. And so this might be, that might give to opacity, size. There's that tightening up. So that's a little bit, they did the inner glow in getting those graphic things to happen, which is here. So let me just do normal. And again, you can, don't forget, you can do the apply. There's that right there. So they use Photoshop and they use the inner shadow to create those graphic lines for you. And that will give you the ability to get those graphic lines that you want when you utilize this. So on here, once you have that, as I do, then I can come up here and I can use my eraser tool and get rid of these. Whoops, not that one. We want to get that down to 1. Oh, am I on the right layer here? Let's use the, see that I'm going to use the magic wand. Magic wand, we use 1, anti-alias. Don't want to use that. Oh, I know why. It's an effect. It's not flattened. So it's not picking up just the one color. So at this point, what I would do, as always, duplicate. So you don't lose the editable ability to change the drop shadow. And then you come up here and you say, you've got to be on here. And you want to flatten image. I don't want to flatten image. I want to just merge. So I'm going to duplicate again. So now I have 2. Now that will give me merge visible. And now I no longer have those effects. I saved it by my duplicate. And now what I can do, and remember, trust me, I'm going fast because I know this is a video and you're going to be able to look at this video and stop it and start it and stop it and start it. So now you see I have it flattened without the effects. And now I can use that magic eraser that I was trying to do, or the old tool, the magic wand, and I can choose that and get rid of that because I want to lay this on top of my gradient as such. And so that's how, and then again, I have stroke. So I then at this point could merge visible. I could merge these two so that the stroke goes on the outside of the shape. So that's, these are just things that I'm literally on the spot working as if this was my job. How do I fix this? And go after the tools that I know. And sometimes the tool that I think I want to use does not work. So that's important to remember that, when we're working like this, even the most experienced person makes a first move and then the tool is working or not. So it's important. So for everybody who just joined us, just be sure that I do have this on video so you can go back and stop and start. I'm just going through a couple of tools to troubleshoot some of the questions that Rebecca had. So Rebecca, again, trust me, go through this. If you still are frustrated, just give me an email. I love emails. So let's go back to your other one that I want to talk about, which was your web design. Let me update this. And on the web design one, let's go back to the website. So on here, these were your examples. And I just wanted to show, like I didn't look closely, but then I zoomed in and I realized I wanted to show you how to be sure to get that perfect circle, right? So I'm going to show you, it's a little tricky in Photoshop, but I can help you on this. But just looking at this, let me see if I can get this bigger. Just looking at this closely, the drop shadow kind of went away.
That's because that's the other one. Scroll down.
Oh, scroll down. Okay, good. Thank you. It's like, wow, I never know what the computer is going to do. So, so just looking at this, these are the things that I would do if the art director handed this to me as a rough mock-up. First of all, you make a circle, which is white. Then you duplicate that, and then you make it smaller, and you make it your green. So this green circle has a drop fuzzy shadow on it. Then all these icons also have a drop shadow on it. And how do I know that? Because it's three-dimensional in that context. Now, you do have to be super careful when you have silhouettes, so that when you do scale them, they really keep their line work, that you don't lose it. And the best way to do that is really in Illustrator. If I scaled this in Photoshop, I would lose that line work. Photoshop does not do good on line work. Illustrator is the best. It's the go-to program that you use for line art. And so I would scale it down to the pixel dimension that I would need. And then I would import it into Photoshop and then apply the drop shadow. So on here, you're really close. But the thing that I want you to be careful of is to remember the distance. Distance is everything in graphic design, and that's called space. So when in doubt, they always say give space. So if you notice the distance between here and there versus what you have. So you just got to be very cognitive of that. And that's why we use the grid. So I'm going to go back to Photoshop. And that's why, you use your rulers. Remember, rulers are under View, Show Rulers right here. And then you get the numerical numbers. And when you mouse down, you get a guide. So you would do that. You would create those guides so that you are aware of the distance between each of the objects. So I would say, instead of speak with us, I would say email or call us. That's really the language that we have now. And we want call or email, because call is that personalized. And I can't tell you how, when you get into having a service that you're paying for their service, you want a voice. You do not want a website. So call or email is very personalized. And emails can be as personalized as a call if you respond to them, right? So that would be helpful to do that. So I would have a phone number and just one email. And then the other one, which is perfect, is hear from us. This is good too, to share with us. Everything is a hit. Everything is a like. Everything is in those regards. So let me show you. So that was only the thing I had. I think other than that, Rebecca, things look really good. So if you have any questions, I'm going to show you how to make those perfect circles. But chime in with any other question too. So to do this is you take your marching ants up here, or not marching ants, but your tool, and you mouse down, and it's the elliptical. And so the way to get something in the center is when I do circles, I always bring the guides down, vertical and horizontal. And then I kind of know, where the ballpark is. And then in the circle, like if I just make a circle now, it's not going to be a perfect circle. So you want to keep the shift key, but you see it goes to the side. That's no good. So to make it from the center is shift key Alt, and then it lets me make it from the center. So I would make the first one like this. So when you make circles and you have concentrical circles within, you always start with the master circle and then just scale it down within. we're going to get into rotation, which is the axis of the circle. So right now, what I would do is I would create a new layer, and then I would come up here to my palette, and I would choose white, because that's the paper. And then I would just come up here to fill. I'm an old dog, so I just like to use, just fill it. Fill is what I want. So now you see I have a layer just that is a circle. And then I would use that again with the move tool now. And again, that Alt key, you see the cursor changing? That's going to give me a circle. And then I can bring this over. And you see the pink guidelines? That is Photoshop helping you know that it's aligned. The other key that we used to have before they gave us, they called them smart guides. Before those smart guides, we had to use a shift key. And shift key would keep the alignment. But now we have the ability to make a duplicate, and see if I go off of it, it'll snap right to it on there. So now I have literally 3 layers here that at this point, as you can see, I can make them 1 layer again by the merge visible. Now, if merge visible is not accessible, it's because you haven't selected one of the layers that you are to merge. So now I can merge visible.
Hey, Professor?
Yes, Louis.
Yes. Where do you want the motion picture, like at the top of the page? Like what page do we put that on?
For the storyboard?
Yes.
Concept.
Well, for the final.
Well, the final,
Concept?
you're talking about the storyboard, Louis.
Yes.
Storyboard goes on the concept page of the
On the concept page. No, I'm talking about like the final thing.
It would be on the final of the motion graphic.
Okay, so we put that on like the second page, or I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Well, it would be, if you do 1 page, it's on the bottom.
Okay, so it'd be on the bottom. Okay. On the foot.
Louis, I'm going to continue with this tool that I'm doing with Rebecca now.
Yeah, you're good. Don't worry about it. You show me later.
Okay, so
I have my kid
basically,
now, so
you see, now I have that, right? Now, what I didn't do was I did not do the marching ants. I didn't save my marching ants, right? So again, remember your marching ants. So you could come up here to history. Where's my history? Under Windows. And making marching ants, or you could go back to here, remember, and hover, and I don't want to get to be that big. Zoom out, fit on screen, turn this off, and I could hover on this. And remember, we hit Control, and I get the marching ants. That was over the thumbnail. Now, of course, I want to save it. Save selection, and this would be circle. So on here, now I have that save, I don't have to worry about it. Let's see if the transform tool will work. So I'm going to do Control T. Thank you, it's going to work. Why do I want that? Because I want to scale this. Now, notice that I did not have Shift key on. So now I'm going to put Shift key on. Let me get back to your Shift key. And it's not keeping it to be centered. So one of the things that you can do is, you see it's making it small, but it doesn't do the rotation for the center. So that is not helpful, even with Shift key. See, even if I go like that, it's going to distort it up that way. If I distort it this way, it goes to there. And so it's not giving me that center access that you often need when you have this. So I'm going to escape, Control D. And on here now, no marching ants, I'm going to go Control T. And I'm going to see if this scales it down, not through the center, proportionately, not through the center. Let me see here on this one. No, that's framing. So what I'm showing you here is, let's go up to this tool, Control T, Shift key down. And what's not happening, as I can see, is that this is not giving me the access, which is called a rotation. Like when I rotate this, it's rotating around the center. And the version before this version, just to let you know, is not giving me literally the rotation axis that is normally seen right here, dead center. So that's a problem. That is what I call releasing a version, or I have to upgrade. And now you would never know that as a beginner, which is frustrating. So, so I'm going to just come up here to transform. But all right, so right away I have a problem. So what I would do is, you see how I have it centered here? I would duplicate this, make this be my color circle, turn this off. Now go back to my shape tool, scale this, and bring this up, and you can see the snap. That is not what I'm letting you know. I'm not happy with that because they took it away. Because when I show you the time, when you want to rotate around an axis, like when you want to rotate around this axis, you normally just move the transform axis and it rotates it. So I'm going to have to troubleshoot that on our break. Maybe there's an upgrade that I have to upgrade on this version, but trust me, this is one of the frustrating things as an end user. Where is that access? So I could, that's not showing it to me at all. So I'm going to troubleshoot it and try to find it. It could be the preferences and so forth, that I have 1 minute left, but that's what I would do, Rebecca, and fill that with your color, put your drop shadow on and all that good stuff. Okay, so I'm going to unshare. So you see, Rebecca sent me an email. She had questions. We troubleshoot them during our session. We cover more tools. So be sure to email me on that. And Christina and Nicole, I appreciate when you email me. So we're going to troubleshoot when we come back, and I'll troubleshoot that rotate tool.
Professor, I don't think I emailed you.
Okay, but I thank you if you do email me.
Oh, sorry.
Take care, Christina.
Bye.
Bye-bye.